Well, hi. I am Deborah Dragon. I'm the regional director for FRC in LA and Orange County. And I'm super excited today to be doing my very first interview for First California website and email with the newest member of our Orange County Regional Planning Committee. And I'm going to let Pauline introduce herself. Pauline, hi.
Hey, nice to be talking to you. Yeah, my name is Pauline, been involved with FIRST for a while, so I'm excited to chat.
Great. Pauline, it seems like a good start is, how did you get involved with FIRST in the first place?
It's actually a funny story. So I got involved in high school, and at the time, I had no idea what FIRST was. I had no idea I even wanted to be an engineer. I actually wanted to be a lawyer for most of my life. My parents tell me I love arguing, so I thought, yeah, I'll be a lawyer. But in ninth grade, we had a career fair and a club fair all at the same time. And there was a robotics table off to the corner. And for some reason, I was like, maybe I'll just put my name down. Put my name down, went to the first meeting, didn't like it, went to the second, then liked it because I got my hands dirty. And then from there, I've just been, absolutely hooked.
That's a familiar story. I think, I think once you get your hands dirty with robotics, it just is so exciting and engaging. So what was your first team?
My first team was Team 589 Falcon Robotics from La Crescenta, California.
Very nice. Okay. And you were part of that team through high school?
Yes, exactly.
That's exciting. So you graduated high school, you finished your robotics team. Where did you go from there?
So right after high school, I went to college. I went to Cal Poly Pomona, studied manufacturing engineering. During my time there, I was still really involved with FIRST. I mentored for those 4 years. I volunteered. Yeah, got my degree in manufacturing engineering from Cal Poly.
Wow. So you from lawyer to engineer, that your experience with FIRST really sort of changed your whole trajectory, it sounds like.
It truly did. My brother went into software when he graduated high school, and I was like, I'm not going to do anything remotely near that. I was very wrong. I was pretty close. But yeah, I didn't know I wanted to do what I'm doing, and I'm glad I found FIRST because it, gives me the passion that I didn't know I had until I found it.
That's amazing. Can you tell me a little bit more about what your job involves, what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a process development engineer / manufacturing engineer at a startup in Los Angeles. It's cheesy, but what I say I do is I make dreams a reality. So I talk to all these different kinds of engineers, design engineers, manufacturing engineers, project engineers, and figure out a way to make the thing that they're designing on a computer a reality. I get to figure out, it's like Legos. When you get a Lego kit, you get some instructions on how to build it. I get to make those instructions and find flaws in the instructions and redo it. So it's a lot of, just communication skills, a lot of figuring out how to build things with the millions of tools out in the world. It's a fun time. I enjoy it.
That's great. And do you feel like any of the lessons or experiences that you had at FIRST prepared you for what you do now?
For sure. I think the biggest thing that I got a chance to do before a lot of people my age was work with my hands and build things. When you're a manufacturing engineer, your job is to make it easy to build. And if you didn't have the experience of putting things together with your hands, you're not going to be, able to find the flaws that some of us are able to find because we spent 4 years in high school trying to build robots and not having them work. So FIRST really prepared me for that. I got to work with my first tools for the first, when some people had to wait until their college years.
That's very cool. So you had a little leg up having that experience. But do you think, is there anything that that maybe you didn't learn that you wish you had known starting off on your career path?
Oh, so many things. I think, my biggest lesson when I got into my full-time career was in humility. I had such a hard time, and maybe because I was in high school, I was the only girl on the team. I had a hard time asking for help. And I had a hard time saying, I don't know. And when I got into my career, the first time I took a project on just completely under me, I didn't know how to do everything. And it was scary for me to ask for help from someone. And the moment that I figured out that that was okay, and it's okay to admit I didn't know something, that's how you made a better product, was the moment I became a better engineer. I think in FIRST, you get those skills, but you don't realize how important it is until you're building something, 4 times the size of you with a lot of money, and you need to figure out how to make it work.
That's interesting. I mean, I was going to ask you if you have, specific advice for, for women who are, interested in pursuing STEM, or girls who are interested in pursuing FIRST. And it sounds like that may be part of the advice, but is there anything, else that you would share about, advice you would give to women in, interested in STEM?
For sure. And, for me, I always thought that I had to fit into this cookie cutter mold of what an engineer was supposed to look like. In high school, I remember trying to fit in with all the boys on the team, loving video games and all those things. And while that's okay, I had a hard time doing some of the girly stuff. I always felt like I couldn't do it. And it took me till I was 23 years old to realize I can be a girly girl and also be a really good engineer. And I think that's so important, because when you're younger, you're shaping who you are. It's important to stick with what you love to do and not try to be something else, because at that moment you start forgetting who you are. You get a little bit of imposter syndrome. I had a lot of that. Just be who you are. It's all right if you don't fit into a mold. Be your own mold.
That's awesome. Be your own mold is great advice. It's true. It's about good advice for anyone, is the truth. Yes. So given that, is there advice that you would give to teams about recruiting girls, and generally about encouraging diversity on their teams?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was a mentor on a team for 4 years. I definitely understand what it's like trying to recruit girls. It's a difficult thing to do. The biggest benefit I saw is when you have someone part of your recruiting team that looks like the person you're trying to recruit is the most beneficial. So even if you have, one girl on your team or one female mentor, getting them involved, speaking to girls who you want to have join is important, because for me, the biggest change in my career was when I had a female boss for the first time, seeing someone where I want to be that looked like me, that I could relate to. Having that on your team, even if it's just one person, is going to encourage more people of diversity to come into your team because they see themselves. That's rare.
That's very important. It's, and you're doing that still, with FIRST, in your career for sure, and with FIRST, you've continued to be involved with FIRST, for a long time. Actually, I'm laughing a little bit because I introduced you as the newest member of our planning committee, but you actually were part of the original Orange County Planning Committee, right?
Yes, I was the first year when we were trying to get it going. I was a part of the planning committee.
Okay, so what's it like to come back now to the planning committee again?
It's a fun time. I'm excited. I definitely, for Orange County, especially during that first year, we hadn't had a regional coming back after an established regionals in place. I think some of the holes that we had before are now filled. We know what we're doing a little bit. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Well, we feel really lucky to have you. Can you tell me a little bit more about, other FIRST work that you've done, mentoring teams or volunteering in other capacities?
Yeah, for sure. I was a mentor for 4 years in college. Throughout there as well, I helped start the Orange County Robotics Alliance and helped co-found and start an off-season in Southern California called Beach Blitz. I started that when I was maybe 20 years old. So it was a young time, but it's super fun. I really enjoy it. And then during season now, since I don't mentor as much, I volunteer as a field supervisor. I enjoy building, as the theme of this talk, and get to build the field alongside some other awesome volunteers. I really enjoy it.
So tell me why do you continue to volunteer? Like, what's in it for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. One, I love the people. I mean, in Southern California, especially, we have such an awesome group of other volunteers that we get to work with all the time. I especially love working with some of my best friends are FTAs. They work alongside me. So I get to enjoy seeing them for 3 or 4 days, for 6 weeks at a time. But the second part is I just really love what I call the light bulb moment. When I see it in the students' eyes, they're just not understanding something. They don't understand what's going on. And then right away, something sparks in their head and they completely understand the wires attached. Seeing that on the field where it happens often because it's a high stress environment is just so rewarding. I didn't have part of it, but I was to the sidelines watching it happen. And I was there at one moment in my life. It's so gratifying to see.
So you're helping FIRST in a lot of ways now. And you kind of touched on it, but what in your life, when you reflect, has been so, some of the best, the best things that you got out of first?
For sure. For me, I think public speaking was the biggest thing I got from first. For when I was younger, I had a tough time talking to people. I just didn't know how to present in front of a crowd. I would dread speech classes so much because I didn't know how to address a crowd or talk to strangers very well. But when I was in high school, our mentors would take us to different sponsors. They would take us to different events where I had to talk to people I didn't know. I had to talk in front of a crowd. And I think now those skills are hard to come by, especially engineers are sometimes difficult to talk to. But now I feel like I have an easier time talking to people. I can talk to a room of people. I had a TED talk because of first. I literally was so scared. And then I remembered all the times before where I had to talk to a crowd of people. And I was like, no, I can do this. I'm prepared for this. And that's a really useful skill you don't get a lot of exposure to when you're young, but you have to do when you're older, and first prepares you that so well.
That's great. That's really great. Yes. I mean, I always tell young people, whether it's, in front of a boardroom or, a group of friends or a single person, you have to be able to articulate and, express yourself and think on your feet. So I think that's a great thing, a great takeaway for anyone who's participating or thinking about it.
Yes.
Last thing I just wanted to ask you is, I would love it if you have any, favorite first memory or kind of, hilarious story or something you'd like to share with everyone.
Ooh, I have so many stories. I could talk for hours. I think my favorite story is probably the first ever beach blitz when we ran it for the first time. We had no idea what we were doing. We had no idea how to put together a field. We had no idea how to do anything. And the last day of the event, I just remember for the first time for that whole 3 days, I got to sit and just look at everyone having a good time. And it was the most gratifying experience of my life. I was like, oh, we did this. We didn't think we could do it 5 months ago, but we gave an event to students in a year that there wasn't a lot of events in the off season, and they were able to participate and have fun. All the holes that I saw, no one else saw. Every flaw was not apparent, apparently, but it was such a special moment to me because I was so stressed about it for months, and it came together, and it was just beautiful. And that's why I host it every year. It's just such a good experience.
It's great. I'm definitely planning to be there next year.
Yes, come.
Well, I totally appreciate it. Thank you so much, Pauline. And everyone will be seeing you. Anyone who comes to Orange County Regional will get to see you in action there, right?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Right.
I wanted to apologize for misspeaking during my interview. I had accidentally said I was the only girl on my high school robotics team. I had meant to say I was one of the only girls on the team. I got to work with some amazing other female students that really helped shape me when I was a high school student. So I apologize again for misspeaking. I wanted to make sure that they were also recognized as well.